Hi everyone, it's Tiffany with Ready Set Crop on this Sunday night, getting ready to do a live process video with you. I am recording this on my Facebook page on January 29th, and then it will be posted on my YouTube channel to watch anytime. So thank you so much for watching, whether you're here live or you're watching the replay. I'm glad to have you here. Hope you have had a nice weekend for those of you that are watching live. I'm going to get started with tonight's project. So I am scrapping two photos from the fall. We went to see a concert. So it's my daughter and her friend, myself, my ex-husband, and his girlfriend. We got a mix of people here. We went to the Cabot Cinema to see Toad the Wet Sprocket. So I printed two 4x4 photos for this, and I wanted it to be a really colorful layout. So I'm going to use the Tropic Time collection because I've been wanting to dive into this. I don't have any tropical vacations, but I wanted to show you that you can still use these papers for other things. You don't have to have just had an amazing trip somewhere, although I hope that you did. I pulled out the Tone on Tone paper pack because I really like to use those. They're usually a little bit more subtle. The prints aren't quite as bold sometimes, and for this I think it will work well for the technique I'm using tonight. And then I also grabbed the Variety Matte Pack because I'm going to use this One Fine Day probably as my title. So I'm going to get started because the technique that I'm trying tonight might be a little involved, so I just want to jump right in. So I'll pull these papers out, and that way I can get started and you'll see what I mean. I want 4 different patterns. So that is kind of boring and I don't want that, but it might be good for matting my photos. So I'm going to skip that one. This one might work, and the other side is this green color, so I'm gonna put that as a maybe. This one is nice. Oops, and the other side, that's not quite as fun. So I'm looking for something that is double-sided, that I like both sides. So that, I don't know, maybe the yellow. I like this. Yeah, let's see if I did that and that, and that. I think that would work. All right, I'm gonna go for it. Set these aside. And I'm going to be working on a navy background. And so I have 2 sheets of navy here, and I am going to first gut the center out of this. Oh, Michelle, I'm glad you made it. You got dinner done and all that. So I am going to gut the center out of this layout so that I have a 2-inch frame. I am first going to trim, I would say I'm going to trim a 1/4 inch off the top and the bottom, off 2 sides first. So that this is 11 3/4 by 11 3/4. Oops, I didn't get that all the way. There we go. Hi Stacy, thanks for joining me tonight. And now I'm going to move this down 1 inch, 2 inches. And I'm going to go 2 inches down and make a cut. And I'm going to do the same thing on all 4 sides, starting down 2 inches. So I'm going to have it even with that last cut that I made. I didn't quite get it, but that's okay. So oops. And I'm basically gutting out the center and leaving myself a 2-inch frame to work with. Okay, now I didn't do this perfectly because I was eyeballing it rather than really using the measurements. So I'm just going to use my scissors to kind of complete those corners. And this is absolutely fine because it's going to be covered up anyway. So it doesn't matter that I wasn't perfect. Hi, Gail. Okay, so I set aside that piece that I cut. I have another piece of 12 by 12 navy that I'm probably gonna use, and I have a scrap of white that I will probably use. But now I'm going to go into my papers, and I am going to cut a 4-inch piece. Another 4-inch piece. I think actually I'm going to grab a couple more patterns just to have them. So I've got these two here. I'm going to grab this coral color because I really like the pattern. It's fun. So I've got 3. I'm going to do a yellow too, just in case. I don't know that I will need it. Oh, I have the yellow. Maybe I'll grab the turquoise. Yeah, and I don't know if I will need it, like I said, but I'm going to cut it just in case. And I'll use it for something else if I don't use it for this. Okay, so now I have these 4 strips of paper, and I'm going to cut each one at an angle so that it's like about a 1 inch. I'm going to start like at about 1 inches, and I'm going to go down to 1 inches on this side. So again, I am eyeballing this. So I have 2 angular pieces, and I'm going to do the same thing to all of these, and I can actually stack these up to save some time. Because this is designer paper and it's thin, I can go through all of those papers all at once, which is a great time saver. And especially if you're trying to make them all the same size, that's really great too. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of create a mosaic going all the way around this using these pattern papers. And if you follow any Creative Memories people online, there were a lot of people doing this technique. They posted it on the blog a week ago, and a lot of people tried this technique over the week. And I thought, well, I want to try it. I want to be part of the fun. So I'm giving it a try. I am going to start over in this corner, and all the way around, I am going to leave about a 1/8 grout line. So when I stick this down, I'm always going to keep in mind that I have about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Oops. And now I'm going to take this piece that I just attached, and I'm going to cut from the back and just trim it. And I'm going to keep going with these. You'll see all these patterns, a lot of them have kind of a bolder side and a lighter side, so I'm going to try to match up lights and bolds together so I don't end up with 2 lights together or anything like that. But I'm going to match up the angles, leaving that grout line in between. Take this one here. Let's see, I'll do this one. Just trying to think about how I want all of them to go. That one. I think I'll do the other side of this. Like that. And kind of as I go, I'm gonna trim the excess so that I can maneuver it a little bit better and use those pieces. Haven't used the orange yet, so let me try and see how I can use that one. I think this one I'll do this way maybe. Yeah. Yeah, Michelle, it's kind of an interesting way to combine a lot of pattern papers too. So if you have a lot of different patterns, you can mix them up this way. And just watch, I needed to have this go long enough so that it hung off that frame over there. And let's see, I'm gonna do the turquoise over here. And I'm just eyeballing this, grabbing colors that look good, and then trimming as needed. And mostly just trimming so that I can use this piece for something else on the layout. Okay, I want that yellow again. I haven't done the green yet, so maybe I'll do the green right here. And you could really lay this out ahead of time, do a dry fit to make sure everything is laying the way you want. I'm not doing that, as you can see, so I am truly just winging it, which, you know, sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, but okay, I want to get some yellow over here, so that's this one. I think I'll do this again. Yeah, that'll work. And just a lot of kind of fidgeting around with it to trim all your insides. And I'm going to be covering up the edge of the frame, so if it doesn't come out perfect, that's okay. All right, so I haven't done this color in a while. I think I'm going to do this light color again though. A piece of that. Yeah, isn't this fun, Dina? This is also a great technique for scraps. So if you have a lot of scraps sitting on your desk that you need to use up, this is a great way to make good use of those. Right, just gonna sneak in here to get this piece. It does make it easier to handle when you can cut those pieces out of the way. Where was I working? Over here. Don't get dizzy on me. All right, let's see, I'm gonna do another orange. I haven't done this one yet. I'm gonna do orange first. And just kind of also alternating thicknesses too. I've got some bigger pieces and some smaller chunks. And then of course, if there's one that you really like, you probably want to have that one showing up more. All right, now I want this lighter color here. Trim that piece. Now I'm going to fill in this corner. trying to leave that grout line in between. Trimming this yellow piece. All right, and just coming around the home stretch. Trying to see what I don't have. I definitely want to do another yellow, another turquoise. I think another one of these. So let's see, I'm gonna fit this one up here. Oh, I only have one of these. So I'm gonna put this guy. And maybe I can fit, I'm gonna have to do probably 2 skinnies here. So this last one, you're gonna have to fidget with a little bit more because you need to really trim out a piece to fit there. And I think I will do this skinny turquoise. Oh my gosh, that's really great. I'm just gonna trim it a tiny bit and it might. Yeah, that's gonna work. That is going to work. Hi, Lisa. Yeah, doesn't this look cool? Let's see if the layout comes out, but this is pretty easy. It came together a lot faster than I expected. So I am going to grab my paper trimmer just to get this whole edge here. Those out of the way. Turn this edge. Oops, I missed that one. Okay. Get all these little edges kind of at once. This one I didn't quite get, so I'm going to go back over. This paper trimmer is great because it's a nice rotary blade, so you can get those little slivers that you missed. Okay. And now I'm just going to use my scissors to go into the middle just to trim this up. Clean up these edges. I could probably use my paper trimmer for this too, but just gonna use my scissors to get in here and clean up this frame. Now this is a really fun way to use up scraps or to just make a really colorful layout with lots of different patterns. Especially when you like both sides of the pattern paper and you don't know which side to use. This makes good use of both sides. Or for photos like mine that are, you know, as a concert, the photos are not great. It was just a picture of us outside before we went into the venue, and then just a picture of the sign. So there was nothing in the photo that screamed, oh, you need to use these colors or these colors. It was just kind of, I could do what I wanted. Okay. So there's my frame. Let me attach it to, this is a full 12 by 12 piece of navy. And that way we're gonna have this grout line all the way around it. And actually, I'm gonna use a little bit of twine because I love, oh no, you know what? I know what I'm gonna use the twine, never mind. I'm gonna pop this down first. So if you build your layouts on the pages that go right in your albums, you could just build this right on the, you know, take this frame and just put it right down on your layout. I use the top loading pockets, so I build my layouts separately and then slide them in. So there is the frame to our layout. Now this, I'm gonna measure this. It should be, yeah, it's just under 8 by 8. So I'm going to cut like a 7 3/4 square. Ooh, and that might work. I think I'm gonna do that one. So I want a scrap that is a lighter color. So this one is 8 inches because I cut the 4 off. So I'm gonna make this 8 3/4. Sorry, 7 3/4. And I'm gonna pop that. Oh, maybe it needs to be smaller. It does. I'm gonna do 7 1/2. Yeah, it is definitely a funky look. It could be very playful, and depending on the colors, you could only use 2 colors and make it, you know, not as wild. If you had animal print, this would be great for a zoo page. This would be really fun. All right, so there's my 7 1/2 square that's going to go in the center there. Find my adhesive. And now I'm going to grab my photos. Oh no, first I'm going to add a border. So I've got the ancient key chain that just came out, and I'm going to punch this out with the navy just to do a border across this section here. So I'm going to pop this one in right here. I'm going to set this aside. Grab my scrap of navy that I cut out of the center, because I only need an 8-inch piece to go across that. Well, I need a 7 1/2 inch piece, so this will be fine. Ooh, punching with cardstock is always a bit of a workout. Okay. And I'm going to trim this because I think I just want the line going across. Yeah. And this needs to be 7 1/2, because that was the size of the paper inside there. And I'm going to use my repositionable tape on this one because there's a lot of holes, and I only want the adhesive to stick where the paper is. Lay this down right here. And this is where I said I was thinking about using twine. So I'm gonna grab this turquoise twine that I had out from a layout the other night, but it's still the right colors for this layout. So I'm gonna grab just a few inches, and I'm gonna pull up an edge and just wrap it around a couple of times. And I do not tie bows because I can't tie bows to save my life, so I always just do a double knot. Oops. And this is just adding a little bit of texture. Okay, now time to put those photos. So I've got the 2 photos, I need to trim those. Yeah, I think this this punch is really cool. When it first came out, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to use it for. But it's one of those, it's just an interesting architectural design, I think. It's a good element to just add to a page when you just need a little something. I don't know if this page needed a little something because there's a lot going on, but you know, I had it here, I wanted to use it. So I've got these two photos. Oops. I think I'm going to mat them in, well, let me get out the cards. I think I'm going to mat them in white and then mat them in this turquoise because I think they need a little something to ground them because they're really busy. The background's really busy. So I'm going to put them on white first. I don't want that one. But I've got the turquoise and orange in the theater sign that will look nice. But I just want a little bit of a white mat around there. Yes, definitely a very different look. And I watched so many, well, I didn't watch, but I saw a lot of different layouts over the weekend, over last week, of people trying this technique. And I just thought, well, I've got to try it. This looks fun. I was kind of overwhelmed looking at the photos, and I thought, there's no way, it looks way too complicated. But it really isn't. And it's the kind of layout that I like, where it's a lot of kind of eyeballing. You don't have to be perfect. I like those kinds of layouts. I don't like to have to spend too much time measuring. So I'm gonna now lay these, I'm gonna mat them on this turquoise, just to do a nice double mat with these. I don't always mat every photo. I don't often double mat, but I think that this layout can handle the double mat. I think it's kind of nice. This concert was so much fun. If you live in New England, I don't know if you've been to the Cabot Theater before. It's the first time I had been. We had such a good time. Went out to dinner beforehand and then the concert. You know, and it's not everybody in the world that hangs out with their ex-husband, but that's how my family operates. And so I like to be able to put that in my scrapbook. Because we've got a big family that enjoys spending time together. So now I'm going to overlap these. I'm going to pull out some foam and pop these up. So I think I'm going to put this one down flat and then pop this one up. At a little bit of an angle. And this one has a lot of kind of blank space here, so it gives me that opportunity to overlap that easily. And I like to do that with photos. You could certainly line them both up. You don't have to overlap them. So I'm just putting some foam squares on here. I've got 9 on here. And I like to pop up at least one photo just to give it a little bit extra oomph. If it's the one photo that's kind of special on the layout, just to make it stand out a little bit more. Okay, got all of those. Lay that there. And now I'm going to grab the cards. Yeah, it's nice, Michelle. We were over there last week for game night. That's a pretty regular occurrence for us. I'm just seeing if I need anything. I really don't need anything else. There's a lot going on here. I gotta slow down. I think I'm just gonna go for the one fine day and cut that out and put that here and then I can do my journaling here. So I am going to fussy cut this. I could just cut it straight as a tag, but I like the idea of kind of making it a little rounded because there's a lot of angles on this page. So adding something that's a little softer is a nice way to break up all the angles. Adding round pages, round photos to this layout would be nice, or rounding the corners would be nice. I actually meant to round the corners and I forgot to. So I'm wondering if I could, if it's too late, but I might be able to. Just trimming this a little bit closer. Okay. So I'm going to put foam on the back of this one as well because it's going to overlap my photo, and I want, so along here and underneath here it needs foam. Looking for my photo, my corner rounder. I'm gonna see if I can round the outside corners. Do the same thing on this one, just the outside corners. Oops, get that one all the way. There you go. This obviously would work a lot better if you did it ahead of time. I just forgot that I was planning on rounding my corners. But just to give it a little bit of a rounded edge, I'm going to do the same thing on this one because this one will show up. This one does not want to pull up off the paper. Okay. There's my rounded edges. That was a lot of unnecessary work. If I had planned better, I wouldn't have had to do that. Okay, now I've got my title, One Fine Day. And then I'm just going to do my journaling down here, and that's it. Because it's definitely, there's a lot going on. I don't need to add anything else. As much as I am tempted to add a little something else, I am going to leave it because I don't want it to go too crazy. But it's pretty colorful already. I'm really happy with how that came out. It's a lot of fun. I hope you give it a try with some of your scraps, or pull out a collection and give it a try. If I end up adding anything else, I will post it with the final photo. But like I said, I'll do my journaling down here. You know, I'm just thinking that maybe I want something up there, but I'm not sure what. I kind of like this paper here. And I think I'm just gonna do it right now just to see how it looks before I let you go. So I'm just gonna trim a little scrap, like a ½ inch, and I'm gonna corner rounder it before I put it down. And I can tuck this under and see how it looks without sticking it down. In theory. Yeah, I like that idea of just breaking that up a little bit, so I am gonna do that. But I promise that's the last thing I'm doing because there's enough going on. So I'm gonna do the same thing underneath here. I'm just gonna trim a little 1/2-inch strip. And I'm actually only gonna round this corner because the other corner will be tucked under here. And I think that's nice just to kind of connect those a little bit. Just gonna tuck that underneath and tuck it under that photo. There you go. Okay. Well, that was a pretty quick layout. Thank you so much for sticking with me through all of those angles and cuts. There was a lot that went into putting this together, but I think it's a lot of fun, so I hope you give it a try, and I will see you again the next time in the virtual craft room. Good night, everybody.